Hi, this is UnAnchored Sports, and welcome to our program. My name is Bert Bell, and this is usually the spot that Mike Lynch introduces for the show, but Lynch is unavailable today. He's dealing with some health issues, and we wish him well and hope he gets back on his feet as soon as possible. Having said, and I mean that sincerely, but Upton Bell,
Yeah. Well, you and I've known him his whole life. I hope he's okay.
He'll be fine. He's a tough kid. He went to Harvard. You know, the whole swamp's got northeastern, entitlement thing. Yeah, he's great. This is brought to you by Cold Springs RV, Ware, New Hampshire, with all your camping needs, and we'll have more about that later. And of course, the great George Gray and Lexington Toyota, George Gray, where if you're going to buy a car or even lease a car, or Toyota's the make and George Gray is the place. Lexington Toyota. Okay, Cold Springs RV, Lexington Toyota, Mike Lynch, Upton Bell. I created and checked all the boxes. I guess I got to say Belichick. I am almost tired of talking about Belichick because that's all anybody wants to talk about now. And now that he's taken this job in North Carolina, obviously today it's a good time to have this particular program because today's the day that he took it. I don't know if you saw the press conference or not with Belichick.
Only Shakespeare could capture that.
Only Shakespeare. True.
I mean, please.
He didn't go to North Carolina, Shakespeare.
Here's what I can tell you.
Good.
Why I knew over a year ago and put it out on social media and sent it to you that Bill Belichick would never work in the NFL again. And the reason is this. It's very simple. I don't care all of the fanny kissers out here locally, Zolak and all these other people, musing about, he should have been, they should have kept him in the league. You know what? Here's what I was told when I was fired, over 50 years ago. Two owners interviewed me for the general manager's job at their different places. And here's what one of them said to me. You get in a fight with an owner and you never work again. You piss an owner off. That was then when it was more innocent. Now these guys are billionaires. And so part is his age. I think anybody thinking about rebuilding. But the other part is this. All those years that he was winning, Kraft, and you and I know Bob, was stewing for a couple of reasons. One, he wasn't getting enough credit for it. And two, Belichick was one of those people that basically said, don't bother me even on game day. And so over a period of years, I think that Kraft in his own way was weighing in late, waiting and to see what would happen here. And I think once Belichick convinced him, although I think Kraft made a big mistake, once he convinced him to let Brady go, that was the final straw, because then he saw the 5 years of total disaster, the Titanic of the NFL. And Kraft said, okay, as he said, I'm getting my team back. He did it with a vengeance, and we'll get into it later on. I think made a very big mistake in who he picked as a coach. But then Belichick, was interviewing. Arthur Blank liked him in Atlanta. But let me ask you this. If somebody called you and said, what's Upton Bell like to work with? You can either say he's great to work with, or you can say he was a pain in the ass.
Well, he was a prince and a pain in the ass.
Both, okay?
Yeah.
But owners talk to other owners. I've listened to owners all my life. I heard my father talk to owners. I heard, Hallis call up and say, that son of a bitch can't coach a link. And my father would say, then why the hell did you hire him? So Blank calls Kraft and says what all owners or people will say, including you and me, when we're asked to recommend somebody. And I can tell you what the conversation must have been. He's a great coach. He's developed the greatest quarterback in the game. Blah, 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 blah. But Arthur, if you want your team, he's not your guy. Now, Bob, who are we kidding? How many other owners thought to themselves that might have been interested? This is a guy that's unbending, unyielding, wants to run his whole show, even if he said, which they claim along, that he was willing to give up this or that. But once you make your reputation, you lie in that bed the rest of your professional life. And so I thought the combination of age, but more importantly, any owner who would call Kraft. And look at how many losing teams there are out there. I mean, I wouldn't want to work for them, period. Call Kraft and said, well, Bob, what was it like personally? What do you think he's going to say? You think he's going to say he and I were buddies? I mean, did you see the Apple special, the 10-part series? He did everything but crucify him. The nails were already in the feet. So what do you think? I'm not at all surprised. And these people that go on today on ESPN and the local ones, oh, I can't understand why. Tell them to call me, because I can tell you why. As one person said to me once you're out, you're out.
That's pretty interesting. And I guess that league now, it's basically a Russian oligarchy of billionaires. And, with the money comes the power. And if you don't have the power, you don't belong there. And I guess it was saying
Well,
he wanted it back. And Belichick's the kind of guy, I guess we've all come to believe, that wants to do it his way and only his way. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. But I also tell you, it got beyond the point that, let's say, if some of the things are true here that he said to Kraft, that basically he was willing to relinquish certain things here. Whether Kraft believed him or not doesn't make any difference. When you have that reputation, and listen, the guy won, so I have no problem with it. He killed himself with his lousy drafts. He'd still be here telling Kraft to go screw himself if basically he had drafted well enough that he was always in the hunt. Then you can't fire a guy. What are you going to say? Well, he's 75 now. He's still winning. So that was the situation that he never was able to get out of, even if he said he was going to do it, because he doesn't believe it. Let me give you another example of what you were just talking about, the oligarchs in sports now. Jimmy Haslam comes out today, the owner of the Cleveland Browns, and says, I got to take a look at everything at the end of the season. I didn't expect this. He signed the worst guy you ever could sign, Deshaun Watson, Mr. Massage himself. Could have probably been brought up on rape charges, everything else like that. He lost 2 years. A quarterback loses 2 years. What do you expect? He stinks. Who was the guy that forced them to do it? Jimmy Haslam. You know what I said? Go examine yourself. Stop bitching about everybody else. You're the owner, the one that caused it.
So the point being that Kraft is the one that, well, Belichick, he took North Carolina, and I guess the question is, why did he go to North Carolina? But why not?
Where was he going to go?
Well, that's right. If you're saying where was he going to go, I think he must realize his shortcomings when it comes to drafting, and instead of going out and getting players, the players are going to come to him.
Well, but let me just slightly disagree with you on that.
We'll make it slight.
I think that he knew players. I think he became so arrogant that he's basically saying that trade down. I'll get somebody later on. So he kept in every draft, he kept trading down and therefore didn't get the top people. Even you everybody makes mistakes in the draft. But what he kept doing kept killing himself. Now I told you 2 years ago on your Unplugged show, I said if I were Bob Kraft, I would have fired
It's
Belichick.
unanchored, but it's unanchored.
Okay, I'm sorry, but you're not unanchored.
Well,
You
I'm
are
just
you
saying
are
the
the
name of the
anchor.
show. Well,
You are my anchor for Christ's sake.
well, okay, that's fine. That's good. I'm just saying
So,
it's not unplugged. It's
or
unanchored.
or I could call the show Unvarnished.
And that could you could call it full throttle. You could call it anything you want.
There it is. So what happens? He brings back Joe Judge and Charlie Weiss and puts them in coaching positions they've never been in.
You mean Ray Patricia?
Patricia, but he had. I'm sorry, Charlie Weiss
That's
was
good. Well,
another.
it's always good to be able to correct you once in a while.
No,
It takes me
absolutely.
back to the old days when we did a show on BZ Radio. And
There's
every once in a while, I was able to correct you. Not a
it's
lot, but every once in a while.
listen. It's very hard to correct Plato. So that's what happened. So when he hired those two guys to coach something he never coached before, you know what I put out immediately? If I were Bob Kraft, I would have fired him right then. I wouldn't have. I would have called him
Well,
in.
then I asked him, why did he do that?
Nobody knows why. He was committing suicide. Not only that, I mean, the first year that he was here, the quarterback, he did a really good job. Wouldn't you say? I mean, he lacked some of the physical qualities. You wanted, a stronger arm. You want a lot of other things, but he was very, very smart about the game. So he really screwed that kid by bringing two guys back that didn't have a clue of what they're
Right.
doing.
And you're talking about Mac Jones, right?
Mac Jones, yeah. So I said it then. I would have fired him then. I wouldn't have waited. I would have called him and said, "Listen,
Do you
these
know,
guys."
Jonathan? Do you know that there's no way in the world he would have fired him then. I mean, that would have taken an enormous amount of courage and belief in what you're doing to fire Belichick at that particular point.
I would have called him in privately. I wouldn't have said it publicly, and said, "I don't like these moves. If this doesn't work out, we're finished at the end of the season." I wouldn't announce it. But you know what, Bob? You have to have a little balls in life, okay? Kraft wants it both ways. He wants to be loved, and then he wants it the other way. I'll be the tough guy when I have to.
So why isn't he getting in the Hall of Fame? Well, we're going from Belichick to Kraft, but they're linked at the hip. All three of them, Belichick, Kraft, and Brady. All three of them are linked at the hip in some dance, cosmic dance.
I think there are some things in discussions with people, some of the voters, is that they are sick of the 5-year, maybe even longer promotion, the annoyance, the calls, the emails of people around the Patriots that have been pushing him to get in. That, I think, also, then there's the other part of it is the background. A lot of people were pissed off at him letting Belichick get away with what he got away with. Basically, you talk to people who are not from around here, and the first thing you say about Patriots, they'll say cheaters. That with all of these Super Bowls, the cheating stands there, the murder, all of the other things. I mean, at what price did you get those championships with? A lot of acrimony, a lot over people, changes position on different things. So that will not get you in, and I'm not sure he'll ever get in now. I could be wrong. There's more and more pressure that he's got buddies in there, but I will point out one thing: the total ignorance and playing in the sandbar with Kraft by some of the local media saying, well, why didn't he get in? Who's this guy, Ralph Hay? Nobody ever heard of Ralph Hay. I did. Ralph Hay was really the founder of the NFL. And if Ralph Hay didn't found them, those are the type of guys that go in. There would be no league. But the whole idea is to knock everybody in there except for Kraft. Whoa, we can't understand this and that. I can understand why that he hasn't been voted in, and maybe he will eventually in the end. But remember, he's been passed over twice for this. So what about the people that are voting? I mean, you're talking about a great cross section. But the big thing is, people don't want to be every week or every month getting another missive on why Kraft belongs in. And then there are even writers that have been contacted or media people pushing Kraft. I told the Hall of Fame my opinion. I'm not a voter. It's for players, coaches, and the contributors are people like Bucko Kilroy, Art Rooney Jr., Eddie Cotell, who invented scouting in the NFL. These are the guys that should be getting in, not some owner. The original guys, okay. Art Rooney, George Halas, the Maras, people like that. Bert Bell. Well, in Bert Bell's case, he was commissioner, he was everything, and changed the game. But they're the real contributors. What does an owner, particularly today, do? Tell me.
I'm listening. I'm just saying.
He does. He collects money. He collects money. When you buy, you know what I told people years ago? Name me the first time that an NFL franchise has been sold at a loss. Never happened. Now it's billions. Now it's going to get bigger, and now you're going to have 18 games, and some poor bastard that's playing the guard on some team is going to have to fly all the way to Berlin to play a game, get back on a plane for 8 or 10 hours, and they're going to increase it to 18 games.
Well, that was another point I was going to ask you about: the increase in games, the scheduling, the money grab, and the fact that these guys, the owners, really don't have a great deal of respect or care about the product that putting on the field in terms of these injuries. I mean, because it seems like there's just too many flags and too many injuries at this point of the season. It's ridiculous.
Bob, you and I will be long gone, but the day will come when you will see that CTE and head injuries are going to greatly curtail the NFL and football. It's coming. There's no way. And the reason is, too, the players are bigger, faster, stronger than ever. You get hit by a guy 350, 400 pounds. I have the red zone on Sunday, and I have my own set. And if Joanne permits it, I'll have a third set. And all I can tell you is this. There are more guys being carted off than plays in a game.
I believe it. I
said to myself, Jesus, this is not the Franco-Russian War. What the hell is this? So you see that and you say, now we're going to add an 18th game. We're going to be playing not only in Brazil.
But Upton, it's just past. It's pretty much passed over. It's that you can hear the announcers talk about such and such is down, and I hope he's not that badly hurt. They'll say that you can repeat it over and over again, and it's the same song and dance. They won't knock the product. They won't point out that injuries every week seem to be increasing. You can go ahead tonight's Thursday night football. Check out the number of injuries as you go ahead.
I have it down to an average, usually 8 to 10. You never. I can tell you now. Back in the era when they had leather helmets and they had a face mask, and the players weren't as big, so the hits were still hard, but not as bad. Very rarely did you lose a guy for a season. No, and those were the days when you played 6 exhibition games and
Right.
14 regular season games. So I mean, having that, and now I kind of think of myself, are we back in the 1600s? They got the tent there where the guy goes to the tent, and in the 1600s they
You
just
watch,
the leg off.
watch too many Netflix series, Upton. Why are you wearing an Eagles hat?
Well, because I came back from the Bert Bell dedication.
Okay, tell me about that. We'll just get on. I want to talk a little bit about the Bert Bell dedication, but
It
what
was
is
an.
this Eagles hat? I love those. I love that hat. It's
I'll get
not
you
a
one.
Charlotte Hornets hat, which is
I will
question.
get you one of those too because I have that here
Yeah.
somewhere.
So
But the University of Pennsylvania for years had wanted to put a statue to my father not far from where he dropped dead. For the people in the audience that didn't know that Bert Bell in the last 2 minutes of a game between the two teams he used to own, the Eagles and Steelers in 1959, just as Tommy McDonald was crossing the goal line with the winning Eagles touchdown, he dropped dead in the stands. And so they wanted to, honor him. They had the 100th anniversary back in 1917. He threw the first pass in Rose Bowl history, the only time an Ivy League school appeared in it. So basically, my brother in his on his final will uh, left enough money for Penn to erect a statue to my father, which they had wanted to do for years. And it's the only statue when they unveiled it on the 15th of October. It's the only statue of him as a player. All the other statues around the country are him in his suit and his hat and all the other stuff. So they arrange it, big party. Bob, you would have loved it. All sorts of people came from.
invitation got lost in the mail.
No, well, I didn't want you to travel down to Philadelphia. You
That's right.
said, to me, Upton, why did you bring me to this gritty?
Hey, it's okay. I don't. I'm happy to vicariously live it through your conversation.
So I got the idea of just on a whim. I said, I'm going to get in touch with the commissioner. I said, I've never met him. My cousins all know him. And so I got a hold of his contact and I couldn't believe it. She said right away, she said, I will get to the commissioner. And I said, could he come? And she got back to me and said, it's his anniversary, that probably not, but he would want to do a video of it. I sent you the video. I have never seen, Goodell is always, matter of fact, always kind of circumspect. You see this video, I was in tears. And you know me, only thing I cry over is our lost show in 1978. That's it. So he says at the end of it, and I've never heard an executive ever say that. He says at the end of it, God bless Bert Bell. But it was real. I thought he even had tears in his eyes when he said it. It was very moving. He talked about all the things that he had done to change pro football, blah, 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 blah. So it was terrific. And then the Eagles gave me a football with Bert Bell's famous saying, on any given Sunday, which you still hear it out there today. And then Ernie, of course, he came from the New York Giants, and we had Chuck Bednarik's daughter there. I mean, it was a tremendous,
Nice.
huh?
Nice. That's good. That's great.
So that's it. So I'm on the victory tour.
All right. Well, it looks good on you. I'm just saying. I don't know about the Charlotte Hornets, but you were in North Carolina, so I guess you understand where Belichick's going and the climate down there and what that's going to be all about,
Well,
and whether he's going to manage the NIL and all that other stuff that you're going to have to be a general manager now to be a college football coach or hire one.
here's what I said today. That Billy O'Brien at Boston College has a better chance than Bill Belichick. I'm sure Billy will have less money, but Billy has been a head coach and successful at Penn State. He really revitalized their program.
No
And
question about what he went into at Penn State after paternity.
awful. Awful. We know. We interviewed Ernie Accorsi on it, Joe Paterno. But the thing, he was successful there. He was really successful in Houston, both as a general manager and a coach. But he got in a
Yes.
fight with the owner, and that was it. So he comes to Boston College, who I'm sure doesn't have the same payroll now. That's what we got in college as North Carolina and Belichick has. But until proven differently to me, I think Billy has a better chance to do that because he's already been there. Now, as far as North Carolina is concerned, because I lived there, is that one
Well, you
person,
want to explain. You had the Charlotte Hornets of the
the Charlotte Hornets
World
and
Football League. World
the
Football
World
League.
Football League. Ted Turner did my TV, and Arnold Palmer was my partner. And we really did well. Just like everything else, you got to have a league to play in, and the league went under. But the one thing that I understood from the very beginning, Jim Thacker, who did our radio, was also the guy that did the ACC Game of the Week on TV, which is the biggest thing down there. Billy Packer and Jim Thacker did it. And he said to me, Upton, he said, no matter how big football here is, basketball is king. Nobody really gives a shit about football. They'll go to it, but it's just not. The ACC is a basketball conference, and it still is. So if you asked me to pick a football school, and I had scouted back with the Colts, I had scouted Duke, found Mike Curtis, North Carolina, and North Carolina State and Wake Forest. Please, basketball is king. And maybe it will all change. I think the big difference now is, and that'll be another learning curve, is really college football is the NFL on a lower level. Guys,
Well, it is now. It is. It's
yeah,
certainly going to.
Michigan's got a guy playing guard or whatever it is for $10 million. So he's going to in a world where he has to compete. He has to have a general manager, and he got his bro to go down there and be the general manager for. It's almost the same operation, except you're begging some 17, 18-year-old person with his nose running to come to your place, and then you're begging them not to leave you. So that's why you see all these fourth and fifth and some 6-year players jumping everywhere. So what does that get you? I'll tell you what.
Well, he's got nothing to lose. He's 72. He's going to be 77 when the contract's up. He gets his girlfriend free tuition.
Does he get married there, though?
I don't know.
Well, come on. I expect your investigative reporter.
A lot of Miss Americas came from Carolina.
Let's get with this. Well, I will tell you this, though. There is a downside. If you go from the ultimate, although your last 5 years were really bad, and you go to college and you're just mediocre or decent or stuff like that, I think people will remember you and say, like I've heard before about certain people, they will say, you know what, couldn't get another job anyplace else, and now he's just, you know what, here. Wait till the first year that alumni who have more money than any type of god out there from Tobacco Row, if they finish like 10-4 instead of something else, they'll be out there bitching. Believe me, you only have one owner to deal with. If you're not winning, I mean, the coach there that's now leaving, who's also Belichick's age, he won a national championship with Texas. He couldn't do shit there. He couldn't do anything there because you know what people say? What time's Carolina playing Duke?
Right.
So
no, I get it. I mean,
see, you've never been a fallen idol. You've always been Mr. Number One. You've always been Mr. Number One. Okay. Mm-hmm. You don't know what it's like.
Good thing Lynch isn't here to hear this.
Yeah, that's Lynchy. So you've never had a great fall in your life.
Jesus, Upton, I don't know. I've kept them from you. It's all right. It doesn't matter. It just points to
But
those.
what I'm trying to
These are,
point
I
out
look
to
at
you,
those as learning experiences.
right? But what I'm pointing out to you is that you've always been on a level that you didn't have to go beg anybody. All right. Where's
You have no idea what I beg for.
well, we all beg. I mean, that's the business.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right. Well, that's
the
right.
business loves you for 10 minutes and that's it.
That's true.
That's what you know what the business that you and I are in. I told people this a long time ago. I said, if you think pro football is dangerous, I said, you're kidding. I said, this business, radio and television and the media is more dangerous than anything you'd ever do in football, baseball, or any other sport. If, in the other sport, if you're good enough, you play and you can tell the coach or the owner to go screw himself. If you're great in this sport and you insult the general manager,
Oh no, right.
he's saying
You're done.
get rid of cut that guy's neck off immediately. I mean, that's what it is. So there is a
Upton, I can tell you. I'm sure you know why. I think it's unfortunate people have to get fired, but it happens to almost everybody. At least
sure.
it should, because it's a very humbling experience. And I'm sure you know why you got fired. I know why I got fired, and it just happens. It's just the way it goes.
Well, and
I
Mike,
wish I'd have seen it coming, and I probably could have prevented it. But no,
well,
this was done. This was all done behind closed doors.
well, in my case, it was done in the newspapers every day of the week because from the very beginning, I never got along with Billy Sullivan, and the only thing that I would say in retrospect, if I was like 45 or 50 instead of 32, A, I never would have taken the job, and B, I wouldn't have done the job differently, but I would have put up with him for a while. But that isn't the way it is, and that's why I get back to, and we can move on to other subjects, but that's why I get back to why Belichick had no choice. It was not going to happen here, and those people out there on ESPN and all the other ones out there today saying somewhere along the line he'll be back, boys, he ain't coming back.
Well, think about them. I mean, he financially he's made a windfall based upon the contract that he had to get paid on about leaving the Patriots and what he's getting in North Carolina. This has been a very good year for Bill Belichick financially.
But let me ask you this,
Okay.
okay? You're doing what you love doing and you always have. Somebody said, "Do you know, Bob, you're getting 25 million from the Patriots. By the way, that the 10 million will be deducted from the 25 million now, of course, right? You're Bob, you're making millions of dollars. So therefore, if you leave the job or you're fired, you're going to be doing very well." And you know what you would say to them? What I would say to them, I'm goddamn miserable. Take the money. I don't care about the
Well,
money.
you know what? That's exactly what I would have said had I been given the opportunity. Uh,
Yeah,
I would have. I told the guy. I said I want to be part of the solution, not the problem.
correct.
For God's sakes, you know, if you think you're paying me too much money, just tell me how much money you think you're paying me too much, and I'll be happy to give it back to you.
I was going to say that's it. Then you call their bluff. But
Well,
again,
not
you,
if they already made up their mind.
well, they could. But look at it this way. I don't think anything in sport is a tragedy unless somebody gets severely injured or CTE or something like that. But this is kind of a Greek tragedy. The hero, the person that won 6 battles against Caesar Augustus, is now relegated to taking care of the prison. He's no longer Caesar Augustus. He's no longer that great warrior. That's where Belichick is now. I don't wish it on anybody, but that's where he's at.
You know, I think there are lessons here for all of us, but I need to bring up the lesson of camping. Can I just talk a little bit about the joys of camping? I know this
Sure.
is as
I
this is not
want
the
to.
joys of sex. This is the joys of camping,
Well,
which of course can be.
why
We
can't you have sex and camp at the
well
same
that's
time?
that's very good.
What what are
That's
you thinking
I know
here?
I was exactly going there. That same thing. You know, we think alike in a lot of ways, but right, and we've talked about the opportunity to so-called hook up if you're a
Right,
camper. This
right.
Cold Springs RV, they have next year's models and they're arriving daily. And Cold Springs RV is located in Ware, New Hampshire. Ware is west of Goffstown, which you've been to Goffstown. You have a sign that says Upton Lane
I
from
got it there.
Goffstown. The
Got
sign
it
says
there.
Upton Lane from Goffstown. I remember climbing up it on the pole and taking it, and I'm amazed that the town hasn't come after me for it.
Tell them they can get it in the Upton Bell collection. You're front and center at UMass Amherst. That's
No,
where.
they'll be. You know, I don't know if they'll appreciate that, but Goffstown is the only name that was named after town named after a quarterback before he became a quarterback. That's Goffstown, New Hampshire. Get
Wow.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
yeah,
And
I
then
do.
north of Tingsboro. Tings is not a quarterback yet, but I'm sure he will be someday soon. So the latest in pop-ups, travel trailers, fifth wheelers, and motorhomes. Uh, Tell them Mike Lynch and Bob Lobel sent you along with Upton Bell. They're always open. You can freely browse. You want to see the latest in camping? Go to Cold Springs RV. I know this couple. I met them, Phil and Jackie. It's like a country song. Phil and Jackie had back-to-back campers, side by side, in Raymond, New Hampshire. And of course, the great thing about starting a relationship with someone that has a camper is that you can pull out at midnight and never be seen again. You can
That
just, you
you
can
want.
leave. You can leave in the cover under the cover of darkness,
So,
or she can too, for that matter. She can.
so can you tell Phil and Jackie that I'd like to go see the Grand Tetons like John Howard?
Yeah, yeah, I
So
can.
you just tell them, I'd like to rent it, which means I'd like it for free for just a while. I would report back on all the different sites and polar bears that I ran into.
Well, this is good, but my question is: this is one Lynch would have asked you, and I think he did the last time we were on. That ColdSpringsRV.com is saying we have something like the Madden Cruiser in construction, and we would allow you to take it for a week or two, whatever works for you. But who would you take? Who would you take for the 2 week trip? I know Joanne's sitting there, but excuse.
No, Joanne doesn't want any part of that.
No, why would she want to go? I can understand
Oh,
totally.
I'll tell you who I want to go
Who
with.
would you take?
I would want to protect him, and I want to take him and have long discussions with him. Drake May. I fear for his life. I fear that he won't be protected. I fear that they've done nothing to really help him. And I thought he and I together for a couple of weeks, with me explaining with all my experience how could build this franchise together and how I would show him how to protect himself, and particularly we could go out west and I would get him on a field where he could perfect his slide.
I
He
think
needs,
I think it's a very generous offer on your part. That's a great one. No one's picked Drake May, and my question to you is: you're going to be with the young man, 22, 23 years old, from North Carolina. Uh, why wouldn't you advise Drake May to ask for a trade? Because he's never going to win here, and the only play, and I think he does have the ability to win at that level. He may not be Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, but he has the ability to win given the right circumstances. Why wouldn't you tell him to ask for a trade?
well, I would. Number one, just remember this. I think he has the potential to be better than Patrick Mahomes.
No way.
Physical potential. Look at him. He's much bigger. He can run as fast as Mahomes. He's Right now, he's not worried about getting injured. He will be if he, especially if he's behind this pathetic offensive line. But when you look at his physical gifts, and you also see he's football intelligent because he ain't getting any coaching here. Alex Van Pelt, I think, does a nice job, but expanding his universe and Mayo's decisions not to go for it in a year where you should be going for it on every play uh, doesn't mitigate well for him. But I think if you said to me, here's what I think he is, he's somewhere near with his physical gifts of Allen of
Jesus.
Buffalo.
I don't know, Upton. Come on. Josh Allen, come on. You're talking about all of a
I
sudden you're
said
making Drake May, the Drake, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen.
physically.
Next thing you're going to do, you're going to say is Tom Brady.
No, because Brady isn't that good an athlete as him. Brady was great because his mind could pick you apart.
So
Brady
okay,
didn't
let me
run.
tell you, here's my takeaway from this show today.
Football's changed.
No, okay, football's changed. Okay, fine. Here's my takeaway from this show. Drake May is better than Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, kind of did.
No, you're putting, as you normally do so well, you're putting words into my mouth.
I don't think that's
and
necessarily.
then suffocating me with it. Here's what I'm saying.
No, didn't quite do that. I think
Allen and Mahomes, he has the physical ability that they have. He's not quite as big as Allen. He's as big as Mahomes. And he has that. There are certain people, like when I first watched John Unitas, I remember saying, this guy sees everything. He understands everything. He it's almost above coaching. This kid, remember that Allen, as bad as he was in the beginning, and Mahomes, not to that degree, they had decent linemen around him. This guy might as well be stepping on the tip of Everest, getting ready to go over. There are no people around him.
I understand what you're saying. I understand you're saying he is being put in danger. He has been unnecessarily being put in danger.
Absolutely.
Okay, so why wouldn't you ask for a trade? The chances are you're going to get hurt here because you're never going to win here.
Because they're this is all Kraft has. This is all he has, other than his Monday meetings with the head coach, with the lawyer in the room too. I mean, I haven't even gotten into that. I mean,
what do you mean, the head coach?
I mean, Gerard Mayo's got to report for duty every Monday to be cross-examined by Jonathan Kraft, Robert Kraft when he's there, and the Hertz Rena lawyer. So, I mean, that's another point I wanted to get with you too. Well, I know we're jumping around, and that
it's all right to jump around. Can I ask you one quick question before?
Yeah,
because it has to do with Mahomes, and I don't know if the question is even relevant now based upon the outlandish statements that you have made today.
Thank God.
The outlandish, but here's my question, backed up by the outlandish statements you've made today. Would you take a 27-year-old Tom Brady or a 27-year-old Patrick Mahomes? If you had a chance to take one or the other, who would you take?
Mahomes.
Okay. That's good. That's all I wanted. I would agree.
Because I think he has, Bob, I think he has the same kind of mindset as Brady. The difference is, I mean, he is a danger when he runs with the football because he knows how to get down, but then he knows how to fake, to put the ball out there like he did again the other night.
Yes.
And take the guy out and got the extra yard.
Yes.
And then dump the football. I think he's brilliant.
But isn't it only a matter of time? Isn't one of Brady's great assets as he knew how to stay healthy to some degree? I mean, isn't Mahomes still putting himself, although
Sure.
he's got better players around him than Drake May, clearly, but putting himself at risk?
Well, he certainly is.
Just
Remember,
like Josh Allen puts himself at risk all the time.
they do. But again, remember when Brady was winning his Super Bowls and was in his prime, Brady never faced what these guys did because Brady didn't have to run. And if you remember, any time that he saw danger in the pocket, he'd throw the ball on the ground.
Isn't that what made
He
Flutie
spiked
so
it.
great? Flutie was revolutionary in this sport.
Yeah, listen, there is no sport on the face of the earth that has a more interesting position than quarterback, no matter whether it's high school, college, or the pros.
That's true. It's hard. You can go right down the line: hockey,
None,
baseball,
none,
basketball. There's no
none.
right.
Because that person embodies everything: intelligence, football intelligence, the ability to call a play, ability to absorb all different defenses as they move in front of you, and then to physically be able to complete the pass or the run. There's no other position
You have
like
to
it.
be motivational at the same time.
I said there are only two important positions in America: President of the United States and quarterback. That's it.
Well, let's not get into that.
See, you're getting a lot of great philosophy here tonight.
I know, but
I
Plato,
mean,
back to the cave.
this show could really take off after my appearance. So go ahead.
No, this is well, we've been waiting for something to kickstart us.
Oh,
Okay,
so
all right, go ahead. So I must
so
have cut you off at some important point.
what we were really looking at too is the quarterback is completely changed now too, because you're having, which came in 20 or 30 years ago. I mean, quarterbacks usually always called their own plays, understood everything. I mean,
Yeah, how about that? Right? How about that?
I don't like it. I
No, I
don't.
mean that was just like it's hard to imagine that happening, right? It's like it just
Some
it's
guy
hard.
yelling in your ear. Some guy yelling in your ear like you're some
Whoa! Wait a
goddamn
minute.
dummy.
So you're saying they should call their own plays?
The good ones, by the good ones. If you
Upton,
put
it's
no,
too
if you
much. You have to
what
call blocking
Bob,
schemes. You have to
Bob,
call.
Bob, come on. You got that thing in your ear when you went out to do your sports stuff, or you did these different seminars or stuff like that. I know what it's like. You got somebody talking into your ear all the time. Bob, move this camera, that camera, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I know what and you'd
Blah, blah,
want to
blah,
tell
blah.
them what to
And
do with it.
yeah, right. But a quarterback like I'm saying only certain quarterback, a Brady, an Allen now, a Mahomes, people like that, they should be able to. You gotta have a feel of the
You
game.
know what? I
All
think
their own
okay,
plays.
who would be better to call their own plays? Maybe we don't know this. This is an unanswerable question. Brady, Mahomes, or Josh Allen? Who would excel at calling their own play? I think Brady is probably the. No, it's not really
Brady would be
fair.
the best.
It's not
Brady.
fair to, but it's not fair to Mahomes and Allen because I don't know them, but I think the cerebral aspect of Brady's game was without peer.
It was, but what you do, you know what? I haven't talked to any Patriot players lately, but I know this: that our players at the Colts and different places I've been is, and you can say it's more complex today and everything else. It ain't that complex, Bob. And what has happened is you would have the guy that would be calling,
Well, you
the
just said quarterback was the most important position
it
in the
is.
country besides, and you said it's not that complex.
No, I said it's not complex for the quarterback who knows what they are doing.
Okay.
It's not complex for a Brady.
Okay.
It's not complex for Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
I mean, and even the guy with the Rams, he's terrific. I mean, he doesn't need somebody constantly screaming in his ear. And by the way,
By the way,
a lot
what?
a lot of times, Bob, those coaches that are calling in those plays screw it up. They make the wrong call.
Okay.
What says that they know more than me out in the field. I'm looking around. Joanne, don't fall asleep yet, dear. She's listening. Looking around and
testimony to the show.
looking around and knowing. I can tell you this. I can look at a TV set, not being at the game. I could sit there with you and tell you practically every play, how the defense is going to set up, what it's going to do. All right? I'm not playing it, but I understand it. So if you've got a quarterback that understands it and is why screw him up? Here's a case of our quarterback here that basically probably wants to go for it on fourth down, and imagine
So you think Gerard Mayo is the wrong place in the wrong spot at the wrong time?
At this time, yes. And the
Well,
problem
why
is,
didn't Kraft hire him? Say 5 years ago, he took him on a trip to Israel and
please,
liked him.
it was like a seance in the airport. Oh my God, it's like, oh, the genie has come out of the bottle. This is what I see now. This is going to project in the future. Yeah, ridiculous. You look when you say, and then he says, it's like picking my wife. Jesus, if I was the wife, I'd be pretty pissed off. I mean, this makes no sense. He could in the future be a good coach. Bob, he didn't interview for anything. Did you ever know a job that you didn't interview for?
This one.
Well, but you're finding at the apex. So what the hell are you? I'm saying that basically.
What would you do? How did you, general manager? What did you do with? I wouldn't say convicted felons, but the ones that seem to walk on the dark side of the street. That the Jabril Peppers type of players who was basically suspended for 8 games by the league, then allowed to come back, and they brought him right back. Now
I wouldn't bring him back. I wouldn't bring him back.
Did you have guys like that when you were general manager? Oh, come on, you must have.
We had real problems. But believe me, we had real problems, and I tried to get the coach to, the coach was worried about his job. He's on a 1-year contract. He knew I wanted to fire him.
Who was that, Mazer?
Yeah. And I went in many times and said, you know what, you've got a real problem here. And you have a real problem here with some of your coaches that are perceived as being, anti-black. And I mean, I can't tell you how many problems I face to do it, but that's, again, part of the job. Here's the thing. Mayo, he might be great. He never interviewed for a job, period. How can you put somebody in charge? It just, what it just says? I wanted to get rid of Belichick so bad. I liked him a lot. He impressed me. But here's the question that I asked, that somebody asked the other day. Would Bob Kraft hire for one of his big businesses somebody who had no experience? Of course not. But he hired it for this one.
Well, I could sell paper.
But if you had overall had to do the new apartment, they now are stuck in a situation. If he doesn't have over the last 4 games a decent time, now what do? If you keep him and it doesn't work out, you've now lost another year. Now you're into year number 6 of being bad. And when does it? When those poor suckers that go down there every Sunday to watch that putrid product, when are they going to finally say, hey, you know what? No more. It's a real problem. There's no.
Well, which brings us to another subject about fan loyalty and how long can you depend on your fan base to stay loyal? I mean, the Bruins are a team unto themselves. I don't care. They could stink up the joint for 100 years and they'll still turn out for the Bruins.
No, people love them. They treat the Bruins like the mother of Jesus. It's sacred ground. You know,
Right.
we're with your mother, like it or
I
not.
wouldn't say it's an immaculate conception,
Yeah,
but
that's
the
right.
reality was right. Plus, there was Red Sox fans. It's a different thing. Red Sox.
They're getting tired. They're
Well, listen, they went through that whole experience until they won. They knew who they were. They were content with being the unlucky losers. They were content with knowing that somehow, some way, they were going to lose, no matter how close they came. Somehow, some way, it was going to unravel. And then that offered some solace and some contentment. Now that they've won four, there's no appeasing that appetite. The genie's out of the bottle.
well, it's
This
not.
is the real curse.
Well, the real curse is that four has been so long time ago. You know, it's a whole new generation of people. The other thing is that I think that Henry made a decision after the last one, no more spending, and they can talk their way around it with the latest Frankenstein monster in as the GM, and talk about. But they're not putting cash out. This deal that they made for this pitcher, he had an operation on his arm, so you're not getting somebody that's absolutely free and clear. But they didn't have to pay. They pay prospects, but they didn't have to pay anything for them. I think the whole idea of trying to fool us, Sam Kennedy bringing Theo Epstein back. I talked to his father. Theo Epstein is way behind the guy that's going to step in and muddy up the waters. He's in it to be an investor someday in a baseball team. Forget him. He ain't doing anything to piss John Henry off. So what do you have now? A bunch of people, 100 people. How many people? 100 people, analytics people in that department. Which don't get me started on what's happened to sports. Analytics. That dope coach out in Detroit. I love him. I mean, he's in
Well,
there
how
with
can you
boys,
not love him?
huh?
How can you not love him?
I love him, but I wouldn't want him to ever make a decision for me on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 like he did last year with a chance to go to the Super Bowl and didn't make it. That you know what? Football is a feel. Television interviewing is a feel. And what you see there
The
is a
cheap
guy,
feel, by the way.
huh?
The cheap feel.
Yeah, the cheap feel. The cheap feel is correct, or no feel at all.
Uh,
So, for all of the good that he does during the regular season, Thanksgiving Day and the other night against Green Bay, basically, you know what I said each time? Good for him. It's stupid. It's a stupid way. You can't let people. Football is a feel. It's a feel. Sports is a feel for something, and yet you have these guys upstairs picking their nose, sending you down notes. Go for it. It's 4th and 2. Are you kidding me? Please.
well, I'm not. I would think somebody that went to Penn would have a better feel for statistics and not just write it off. I mean, I would have thought that even a guy from Kent State like me has some respect for the analytical part of the game. I
I,
mean,
Bob, I do too. But I don't have a feel where let's say in baseball, the Red Sox, you got 100 guys in your front office, working on analytics for what? Or you have 30. I think there are 30 people in the analytics department at the Lions. You know what? Get me some extra coaches. Get me wherever it is. When you come to 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, you're playing the 49ers. You have the chance to go to the Super Bowl. Uh, you kick it away or you kick the field goal and you go for it and you don't make it. You know what? What a stooge. What the hell is going on?
Well, I think we're at 4th and 2 right now on this
All right.
particular episode. All right.
Okay.
And I know we're okay, 4th and 2, and it's time to bring in George Gray and Lexington Toyota.
I love George.
Yeah, we
George,
both do. We all do.
George, I need a car. The problem is, since my accident, I'm not able to drive anymore.
Well,
Joanne might need a new car. Can we get her a new car?
well, we can work on it. There's no better place that I would send you than to George Gray. You want a new car? Then I would say you got to go to Lexington Toyota. George Gray is the man, the myth, the legend, because he is par excellence, not only for the type of car in Toyotas, they're as good a brand as you can possibly get. You know, Toyotas are great, great automobiles, and they have so many different models to choose from. And I must have bought 4 or 5 different Toyotas from George Gray over the years.
Wow.
And the service is remarkable. And I just would say this. I'm not reading a script. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. The guy's wonderful. He's got a great staff, great service, and he actually cares about how you feel. That's my statement on the moment. 4th and 1, I'm going for it.
So here it is.
I'm handing it off to George Gray.
Here it is. Every time you walk in, and I won't charge him for this, every time you walk in to George Gray, it's May Day.
Got it. I got it.
Applause, please.
Yeah, a pause. Oh, applause, not a pause.
Please.
Okay, I got it.
All right, so that's it for us.
That is it. I appreciate your input as usual, and it was a rare opportunity to work with you. I'm really happy we had a chance to do it again. Although I'm sorry about the circumstances, and I hope Mike gets better quickly. So
yeah, Mike, absolutely.
Because I don't want to be doing this every week, you know, with Upton. Although it worked out the first time on the radio.
Bob.
What can I say? We're over the hill.
Bob, you're with the Homer of sports.
Iliad.
The Iliad.
You don't know these things.
Yeah, I know you do.
The Homer.
You like me are very studied.
Homer. Okay, Plato. Back to the
Fine.
cave. Thank you all very much, and thank you all very much for being with us, watching, listening, however you got here. Unanchored Sports on links at wherever it is, unanchoredsports.com. That's all I can say. I pray that you tune in. Really, I do. Thank you all very much. Upton, thank you very much.
All right, Bob.